What is up, you guys? Diggerdan here, coming at you with another video. Today, I'm finally digging into my Christmas book haul. So without further ado, let's dig into it. Before I dig into anything that I got for Christmas, I just want to preface this by saying thank you to my Aunt Mary, my Aunt Teresa, and my mother-in-law. You guys basically sponsored this video with your Christmas gifts, so shout out to you guys. And yeah, even before I get into the 20 books that I got, I know 20, that's quite a bit. I want to jump in and look at some of the other like bookish things that one of them got me. Starting with this shirt, actually. Pad Fane's Fine Goods. This is a subtle Wheel of Time reference from Wheel of Time series. And my Aunt Teresa, who got it for me, she knows that it's my favorite series. If you guys have watched any of my recent videos, you've probably heard me praising the praises of Wheel of Time. So yeah, this is, I didn't expect to get apparel or shirt or anything like that, but this is definitely my favorite non-book item that I got from it. So again, shout out to you. And then with it, she got me two little stickers. This is, I think, really funny because the glasses look very similar to mine. Just glasses on top of books. And then this one, it says, "If you can read this, I was forced to put my book down and re-enter society." Sorry, you maybe read that. I know the focusing on the webcam isn't amazing. So that's that. And then the last non-book item thing I got was kind of continuing that Wheel of Time theme. A wooden bookmark. And then each book is actually one of the books in the series, which I think is really cool and clever. It's got a little tassel, as you can see. And I think this is really cool, but I always think that wooden bookmarks are just too impractical. Because if you look at how thick that is, that's crazy. And I made this mistake a few years ago when I first started reading again. My wife and I, who I was engaged, she was my girlfriend at the time. I think we were engaged at that time. Back in 2020, we went on a study abroad trip right before the pandemic hit, right before the world shut down. It was that first week in March. It was kind of like when COVID outbreaks were starting to happen. And we went to Prague in the Czech Republic, and one of the little souvenir things I got was a wooden bookmark. And I thought it would be okay because if you can see how thin that is, especially compared to this one. And even this one warped and kind of bent the pages of the book that I had it in, that I was reading at the time. So I still kept it, obviously, and it sits on my shelf and it looks really nice, and I always think about our Prague trip and just kind of the craziness of the world at the time, every time I see this. So again, Aunt Teresa, I'm not complaining. I love this. This is I really, really like this. It looks awesome. But it's going to be a shelf thing. I don't think it's not really practical to actually put inside of a book to mark your spot. If I were to do that, I would prefer to like dog ear my book before I put this in there. You know, I think a dog ear is going to do less damage than this chunky thing. So anyway, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to complain. But yeah, those are the things I got that were book-ish, but not books themselves. So now let's start digging into the 20 books that I did receive for Christmas. I can't believe I did this, but I recorded the entire video, and then I realized I didn't even talk about this awesome mug that I got with it too. This is part of the, you'll know, I'll edit it in. This is the Wheel of Time map. So my wife gave me that map for my birthday a month or two ago. And then to continue my awesome love for Wheel of Time, my Aunt Teresa got me this as well. So it's just the map, but on a mug, twice. So now I can take the map with me. So yeah, this is, after the shirt, this is probably my favorite thing that I got that wasn't a book. Now these first couple I'm going to show are just kind of, I don't know if they're one-offs. But this first one is The Wizard in the Floating City by Christopher Rowley. Most of you probably haven't heard of this author or this book, and I haven't either before my Aunt Teresa gave this to me. Actually, you can sort of see right there on that top shelf, if I move my finger properly. In one of my book hauls a month or two ago, I got, from the same author, it was the Basil Broketail series, Battle Dragons. It was really cool. And I got 6 out of the 7 books from a thrift store. And then again, my Aunt Teresa, she got me the one book I was missing. And this is from that same author. This is, I think it's in the same universe or same world, but it is like different. It might not even not be the same world. But regardless, it's the same author, and this is just a one-off. So I thought that was really refreshing, especially if I actually really enjoy that series. And I'm excited, like, I become excited about this author, then it's awesome to have more from him. So that is book number 1 out of 20. Let's keep going. Next book is Legend by David Gemmell. I haven't read anything from David Gemmell, but I remember watching one of the podcast episodes from Brandon Sanderson, and he was talking about David Gemmell and how he really enjoyed the series, like his universe and his writing and things like that. And so I chucked it on Want to Read on my Goodreads, and I think my Aunt Teresa saw it, and she's like, oh, I don't think he has that one yet. So she bought it for me and put it in as a stocking stuffer. And lo and behold, I don't have any David Gemmell before this book. This is my first one. So shout out to you, Teresa. And this is, I believe, the first in the series. And I heard good things about this. After I got it gifted, I looked a little more into it. And I think Bryce from Shelf Centered, I think he was talking about David Gemmell in one of his videos and just how action-packed these books are. So I'm really looking forward to kind of exploring David Gemmell's universe. So book number 2. So this next book is a little different. This is Temple of No God by H.M. Long. This is a second in a trilogy, I believe. You can sort of see it right there. I have read the first book a couple years ago, again, when I first was kind of getting back into reading as a hobby. And I forget who, but it was maybe a couple different creators on TikTok recommended that book. And so it was pretty cheap on Amazon at the time, so I picked it up, read it, and I thought it was decent. I didn't love it, but I have thought about it a lot kind of over the last couple of years since I read it. And then I saw that this one was, again, pretty cheap, so then I sent this one to my Aunt Teresa to get for me. So yeah, this is book number 2, and I am actually excited to dig into this one. I remember that one was kind of about like a battle priestess, and she was kind of having like an existential crisis because she was kind of losing faith in the god that she worshipped, that she was a priestess for, and just like kind of, and like her priestess or her god's like son like is a demigod, and like he was interfering with this priestess's life. And it was actually kind of really interesting. So the concepts were cool, but I think the execution wasn't amazing. But I'm still excited to get into this book because I hope H.M. Long has maybe learned some things from that first book. And yeah, so I am actually excited for this one. I don't remember what I rated that book. It was maybe like a 4-star. That was before I had like my whole 10-point system that I'd ripped from Tutor Ramble. Yeah, anyway, book number 3, Temple of No God. Next, sticking with the single book at a time, Dark Matter from Blake Crouch. Yeah, sorry, that cover kind of makes it a little hard to read. It is really interesting cover. I do really like that. But yeah, this one I haven't read, and I'm really excited to dig into this one because I've heard really only good things about it. And honestly, I have little information about what this actually is about, which I kind of like. I like to go into a book or into a series with as little information as possible, so then I don't accidentally get spoiled, even if it's like very minor things. And that way I can kind of set my own expectations and kind of have my own imagination run wild with like what I read. Because I know like a character is described, for example, and two people like can imagine that character in vastly different ways, even reading the same passage of a character being described, you know? That's why like when movies adapt books and the characters look different than what people had imagined in their head in the book, people get upset and things like that. So yeah, that's very minor, but yeah, so I don't really know what this one's about. I believe it's sci-fi. I could be wrong. But yeah, I am excited to get into this one as well. All right, so now this next one, this is going to be the last single book I do for a couple series here, is The Black Tongue Thief. Again, Christopher Buehlman, I've heard very good things about him in Black Tongue Thief in general. Kind of grimdark stuff, fantasy. That's about all I know about it. Again, I like to know as little as possible, but I kind of like to know sort of what to expect, if that makes sense. Like I know of like romance books, for example. That's not really my cup of tea, so if I know if it's a romance, I might not like it as much. But yeah, Black Tongue Thief is the next one. And I think he's writing the second one to this, or maybe a prequel one is out. I don't remember. Yeah, I'm excited for this one as well. So let's dig into the next one. All right, now these next couple things are going to be like kind of bundles, whether it's like a trilogy or a 4-book series. But this next one is Mistborn Era 1, or the first trilogy in Mistborn. If you've watched any of my stuff, like any of my videos, you might know that I've read very little Brandon Sanderson. I am currently reading the last book in the Wheel of Time, which Sanderson wrote in conjunction with Robert Jordan's notes. So I've read, once I'm done with that one, I've read those three, and then I've read Trust the Emerald Sea. That was my first Cosmere book. And then The Many Lives of Stephen Legion. So I would have read 5 books before I read anything else. So this might be 6, 7, 8. I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, I'm really excited to jump into this because I've heard only good things about the Cosmere. I've heard only good things about Mistborn. I sort of know the magic system a little bit. Kind of involves like metals. Like people eat metal, and depending on what metal they ate, it gives them different powers. And I know the first one's like a heist. That's all I know, and I could be wrong. But I'm excited to dig into these and find out. So, all right, so that was 8 books. Now I have 4 books in this next one. This is the Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. This is book 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've heard really good things because if you look at his actual like profile picture on Goodreads, the man himself looks like a Viking, and this is very Viking-esque from what I've been told and kind of looked into. And I've heard his action sequences in this are awesome. His character work is amazing. So yeah, this is another series I'm really excited to dig into, potentially this year, hopefully. But I got a lot of work ahead of me. So if that was 8 books, this is 9, 10, 11, and 12. So 12 books. Let's keep going on to the other 8. All right, and sticking with trilogies or bundles, Joe Abercrombie. From my understanding, he's kind of a good mix of Christopher Muhlman with Black Tongue Thief and John Gwynne. I could be making that up, but that's kind of my impression of him. I haven't read anything of Joe Abercrombie, and after doing a little bit of research online, I've heard that The Blade itself is a great place to start, or specifically the first Law trilogy. I don't know if I actually said that yet. So yeah, he has great character work. I know his worlds are grimdark most of the time, if not all the time, and he has great action sequences. And I've heard, I could be wrong, that he has great like psychological mess with the reader things, because I think he was like a therapist or something at some point. I could be wrong. I could be making that up. But anyway, I heard he messes with the reader a lot. Kind of makes them think about what is the meaning of life, or what is character motivation, all those good things. So again, kind of great trilogy I'm excited to jump into. All right, and then continuing on with series, we have book 4, 5, and 6 of the Red Rising series. Now, you might be asking yourself, Daniel, do you have the first 3 books in the series? No, I don't. But I did borrow the first 3 from the library and read them, and I loved each and every single one of them. So I was a little surprised that my Aunt Teresa got me these 3 instead of the first 3. But my wife told me after the fact that she told her Aunt Teresa that I already read the first 3, and she thinks it would be better for me to get these 3 instead. And I can't say no to that. I'm really excited because I haven't read these 3 yet. Iron Gold, again, heard really only good things about. Dark Age, I heard gets even better. Pierce Brown, just his writing career and just as he forms as a writer, I've heard gets better and better. And then Lightbringer, I know came out just this year. So this is the one I was most excited about when I pulled it out. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Because I'm sure I'll like Dark Age and Iron Gold because I like the first 3 so much. But I've heard Lightbringer is just like boof through the roof. So yeah, I'm excited to get into these, and I am excited for Red God. I think that's the last one in the series that he's currently writing. Pierce Brown is. So yeah, these 3 are awesome, especially the hardcover. I think it's only available in hardcover right now, so that's maybe why, but I'm not complaining. So thank you, and let's get into the last 2. All right, number 19 is from an author we already visited this episode, Brandon Sanderson. This is Elantris, however you want to say it, which I believe is his first published work. I think he wrote 5 or 6 books before he got this one published with a publisher. And yeah, this one I might read before I read Mistborn. I heard, depending who you ask on the internet, that Elantris you should start because it's his very first book, or you should start with Mistborn. So I'm very excited that I have both. So my guess, if I had to tell you right now, I'd probably read Elantris first, not knowing anything. Because it is one-off at this point. Like, yes, it is part of the bigger Cosmere, but as far as like a sequel, like a direct sequel to Elantris, he hasn't written one yet. He has talked about it, writing one, but I don't think that's on his scope yet. So yeah, I'll probably do Elantris and then Mistborn trilogy. Yeah, this is book number 19. Very excited for this one. And now the last book. Shout out to mother-in-law. She got this one. I didn't really say who got what for a lot of these, so again, thank you, Aunt Mary, Aunt Teresa, and Jeannie. But Babel, again, I've heard good things about R.F. Kwan. I'm sorry if I butcher your name. And I believe this one's a one-off. If not, it's the first in the series. And I know little about it. I know it's fantasy-esque. And aside from that, I have no idea. So again, it's kind of one of those things where I'm excited to go in blind and know as little about it as possible. And yeah, so I guess with comments too, if you guys want to throw in the comments which ones you guys are most excited about hearing my thoughts, or which ones you guys have read yourselves and really liked or maybe didn't like, please keep spoiler-ish things to a minimum for both my sake and then other people in the comments as well who haven't maybe read what you've read. But yeah, that is my 20 books that I got from Christmas. So again, huge shout out to everybody that gave me something. So yeah, I want you guys to go in the comments and tell me which book that I got that you're most excited about, or what book you got for Christmas this year that you're most excited about digging into. Maybe you've already read it. What did you think about it? But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit like down below. If you guys want to see more from me, Diggerdan, please hit that subscribe button as well as that bell notification icon so you guys know when I upload each and every single time. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.